What does he keep saying?
He keeps saying, America's back, baby. We're back.
To Australians?
To Australians.
What is that supposed to mean?
It it means we're back.
Where were we? Where did we go?
Fucking hell. The pits of it.
Like, can you explain? Like, what does he mean
I
by
would know I have a one-way ticket there. I would recognize hell, you know.
Oh my God.
No. Matt's premise is that because we've had an attempted political assassination, we're back to our core roots as a country.
Okay, I see. That feels true. I could see that.
Hmm.
All right, America's back, baby. Or America the Hot Mess Cake. Take
I
your
like that one
pick.
too. Let's call
Slice
it
your
American
cake
Hot
either
Mess
way you
Cake.
like it.
Have your cake and eat it too.
How's this? Are we loving this or what? It's fine. I just woke up from a nap, like really hard. So, okay. Well, welcome back, Saltines. Here we are. Thank you so much for being patient with us last week
Sorry, I was dying.
as dear Mackenzie was battling some kind of awful influenza that apparently almost killed her. I don't really know. And then I myself had a absolutely blinding migraine where I couldn't look at a screen. So, here we
We're
are.
doing really well. 10
Yeah,
out of 10 would recommend being us.
we're totally
I
healthy. Thank you for all
I
your
slept for
concerns.
20 hours one day.
That's a lot of
Two
hours.
zero. And the next day, I felt fucking phenomenal. Highly recommend.
If you can squeeze it in your schedule, just go ahead and sleep for 20 hours and see what
And
that
if you
does.
can't, you cut whatever you need to. Work, kids, doesn't matter.
It sounds amazing.
It really was.
Okay, well, yeah, so this episode is called America the Hot Mess Cake or America's Back Baby. And if you so it's late July, and if you've been keeping up at all with the last few weeks, politics in America have kind of gone a little bit off the rails, as we all knew it would, but maybe, in some unexpected ways.
The last few weeks, they've been off the rails for 8 years now. Like we
Yeah, that's true. So 2 weeks ago, we had an attempted assassination on former President Trump at one of his outdoor rallies. Very intense, crazy moment. And then what was it, like a week later, I
like 10
think?
days later.
Yeah, something like that. 10 days later, President Biden announced he was no longer running for re-election, which in like 100 days, just FYI. So the election is coming up really quickly, and he finally just stepped down. So, Mackenzie's in Australia, as you all know, but I'm here in the States, and those of you who are here in the States as well know that everything just kind of rose to the top, and now it's just boiling over. And I think one of the reasons we want to do this episode today is just because I think so many of us are just feeling really like lost or at a
Yeah.
loss. I think, personally, I've been feeling really lost, about our politics this whole time, this whole election. And all of this craziness has really even just heightened that feeling for me personally. And so, Kinsey, I don't know what you're.
Yeah, it's a really stressful feeling and it's weird because being in Australia for the first election, like you don't get the calls and the text messages anymore, which is nice. Like you're weirdly removed, but you get a lot of questions because they're very interested in American politics and they want to know, like, they ask very detailed questions. They want to know, like, what you're going to do about it as an American citizen. And they're shocked most of the time that we actually don't have to vote in the United States of America. Here, it is against the law if you don't show up on election day and cast a ballot.
Oh.
So,
Hmm. Yeah, I think That's like a really difficult place to be, I'd imagine, because our politics have been absolutely,
Crazy.
absolutely unhinged, for more than, just the last couple of years that you've been in Australia. But it's a hard time to be an American abroad. And it's a hard time to understand what is going on. So, um, and currently we I'm not sure. I haven't really checked in the last few days, but so currently, I'll just start by saying that I am a registered Democrat, and that is how I choose to vote. So currently, my party has no candidate, and we're just kind of all of us are a little bit confused. Everything is up in the air. Um, we're not sure how we even go about getting our new candidate through the primary election, which we already held for Biden. So it's very confusing.
Well, and they haven't had the Democratic National Convention yet because they were so certain that Joe Biden would be
Right.
the nominee. These fucking white men that run this country are so short-sighted. Anyways, they couldn't even pull it off earlier. It's like get your asses in gear, rent a fucking hotel if that is what you need to do. Get on a Zoom call. I mean, for fuck's sake. Cast a ballot, make a vote, make a nominee. It's not that hard. It's your job.
Yeah. And it's been kind of weird, like from, from where I see it. Is it Kamala? I'm not even
Vice President Harris.
yes. So it's like the second Biden announced he was stepping down from reelection. I follow Vice President Harris on Instagram, and all of a sudden it was like there she was.
Yes.
It was like in a matter of minutes, all of a sudden she finally had found her social media accounts.
The post button.
She finally had, it was like it's like she knew it was go time, and her team knew it was go time, obviously. But so that's been really interesting because a lot of the big playing Democrats here in the States are endorsing her for the presidential pick. And um it's not even official yet, and everybody is already talking about President Harris. Like it's
Yeah.
like
But I think they're doing that on purpose to like
mhm,
create unity within the party. Um, but it is fascinating you say that because what like when it was announced, what do you actually know about Kamala Harris? We don't even know how to say her fucking name. Like that's where we're at.
yeah. I mean, I think, in general, it's kind of like when she was first elected as vice president, I remember feeling as a woman really, really excited. That was a huge, huge moment for women here in America. And, she made history by becoming the first female vice president.
Mm-hmm.
So that was really cool. And I think we all had like some really big ideas of what that would look like. And,
Yes.
it's, I don't know, like her and Biden just walked into an administration that was just like blown apart by, Trump and friends. And so it's hard to say like how much they really could have done ever. And it's almost like she just kind of has been quietly, doing her job like off to the side, and she's not been really in the limelight very much here in the States. She hasn't been in a lot of news headlines. Like, um, most of it is just focused on Biden and things that have been going on surrounding him. So I don't know. It's hard because it's like all of a sudden you're like, oh yeah, she's been there the whole time, and like what has she been up to? Like I
I
have
think it'll
no
work to her
idea.
advantage though. I think her being like a ghost of a vice president will allow her to separate herself from Biden.
Hmm.
And I think that is going to create a lot of havoc for like the red camp, the Republicans, because they can't really find much to grasp onto because it's sort of wispy, like there's not much there to actually attack. And I think that's going to work in her defense that like she just she just kind of was somewhere for 4 years, but we don't know where.
Yeah, she was just kind and then she suddenly appeared like right after he announced he was
Yeah.
running. Yeah, it's been interesting and I think personally I'm having a lot of feelings of like, just feeling like, "Oh my gosh, are we right back at like Clinton versus Trump?"
I don't
And
think so.
I don't think so either, but it still feels really fresh.
Like Hillary Clinton had been in the public eye for decades at that point,
Hmm.
and there was a lot of vibes about Hillary Clinton, like
Yeah,
on both sides sort of had
right.
things to say about Hillary. The pantsuits were choice Hill, and you know, it's like you kind of had to be like really invested in her. Like that's how it felt at the time. From my perspective, I felt like you had to be like really invested in Hillary. I think you don't have to be as invested in Kamala. Like you just have to show up and vote for her. Like it feels different this time.
Mm.
Like it's cool. She would be the first half Asian president, the first half black president, like first female president. That's a lot of firsts. And she's so okay. So like we can rally behind that. Like I think it's easier this time. And she's younger.
Mm.
Single issue voter. Who's younger?
I mean, it is really interesting because up until this point, when Biden first was saying, months and months ago, when he was first standing his ground and saying he was going to run for reelection,
Yeah.
personally, like, just so I can be totally honest on this show, like, I've been very, very disappointed. I don't think he's been a great president.
I don't
I don't,
either.
I don't love his stance, with Israel, and I don't love what he's refused to do in Gaza. And so
Yeah,
much.
he's a
It's been a
war criminal.
Yeah, it's
Like,
been horrible. It's been horrible. And there's a lot that I, have just not really, I don't know. I haven't really appreciated a lot of his the moves
yeah.
he's made over the years. So
And I've been really pissed off. I don't know if this, sorry to interject, but like as a female identifying person, we have lost more rights under the Biden administration. And I understand, I'm not a fucking idiot. I understand that Trump put in the justices. However, they had more than enough support. They had the House, they had the Senate, and they had the presidency, all blue. And they could have expanded the court, and
mhm,
they didn't fucking do it. And instead, they were like, "Yeah, sucks to suck if you have a vagina." Like that's not okay with me. And I get so fired up about Biden for this. Like, I don't want to be represented by a man anymore.
mhm,
I'm sick of it. Like, they're just,
yeah. And I think like that's why, I've been very, very frustrated with him for running for re-election. I'm still frustrated that he took this long to bow out.
yes.
Like, I
Come
mean,
on, grandpa, move aside.
yeah, I'm glad he finally did, but he has definitely left us all just like scrambling. And I guess, it's like, but I do think it's worth pointing out, like, he at least had like vision enough to choose Vice President Harris. Like, and I think that that's
Well,
like,
he didn't choose her.
well, but like they're a team, and so like I'm glad that she's in office right now because that has really like, and he immediately turned around and endorsed her, and so like I'm really grateful, that at least he like pointed directly to her, like
Mhm.
that's really huge, and that's also something that's never been done in
Yeah, that's
history of
true.
the United States. And so it's just like I feel like as a 36-year-old woman, it's really, really hard to be at this point again and to feel so like, is this it? Like, is this going to be the moment, or are we going to seriously sit here as a country and choose Donald Trump again over a biracial, intelligent woman who could, like, at least keep her head on straight and not hit every red button in the fucking office? Like,
Yeah,
it's
yeah, I
crazy.
know. I don't It's hard too because it's like you know, her policies that are coming out, like her platform's actually really hard to find. I don't know if you've noticed that. Like you search online and it's like she's not there. It's very weird. Like
Mhm.
where is this platform?
Like, do you
But
think your platform is just Biden's platform? She's just like adopting it and
I don't know because I haven't seen really one. But
yeah,
it's like, and people are like, oh, I don't know that we're ready for a female president. That's crazy.
yeah.
Sh- Shut up. Like, it's really interesting too, because I've noticed with the Olympics that like we are rallying behind females so hard now. Like, it's such a good feeling.
Mm,
I hope that we can pull this off. I really do.
yeah. Yeah. We'll see. We'll see. It's interesting. So during like the first like when Clinton and Trump were running, I voted for neither of them. And I voted for a
Ooh,
different
boo. I'm just kidding.
I voted for a different woman that I really believed in. But unfortunately, her party had, well, not enough votes, obviously. Um, and I feel like it's become so much more in like my own journey with voting and voters' rights has become like so much more intense like since that
Mm,
election, like I just feel like my views have completely changed. Like I am like I am an outspoken Democrat now, like some of our family's Republican, some's not, so it can be very like it can be heated and
yeah.
um
Sage and I were raised Republican.
yeah. Yeah, we were. And um you know what? Like I didn't vote for Obama either, and I think that's probably one of the biggest regrets I will carry with me for the rest
I
of
didn't either, and I regret that too, but I
You
wasn't going to say it
didn't?
on
Oh,
this
I'm so
podcast.
glad.
That was my first election. Well, I was right out of Grand County,
hmm
and mom and dad really were big Bush supporters, and we were raised in a very Republican church, a very Republican like
hmm
anyways, that's the biggest shame of my life.
Same, same. And so,
Mitt fucking Romney. Anyways, that
ugh.
aside, Obama
Is
still
that
won.
who the candidate was? Oh my God. I may have not even voted in that election, to be honest with you. Like, but
Mm,
the one thing I know for certain is I did not vote for Obama and I did not vote for Hillary. And those are two people that I probably should have just voted for. And,
yeah,
you know,
yeah.
that is something I have learned and just learning the importance of that and like standing up and saying, like I don't agree with Vice President Harris on a lot of what she's said and done. I don't think she's, been really like a standout vice president. She hasn't, made changes or done things that, I can say that I am proud of, or you know what I mean? Like
Mhm.
it's been pretty like pretty basic, pretty standard. And but that doesn't mean that there isn't a chance like though for her to be a president that we have never seen before, and to
Yeah.
make those changes. Like
It
maybe
would
she
be
just
really
hasn't had
nice to
the
see some
platform.
sort of like common ground finally
Yeah.
emerge. Like it's been 8 years of you're a Republican, fuck you. You're a Democrat, fuck you. I hate you. Like it's just so vicious and like it just I don't think it should be like that.
hmm
Like I don't know why we need to be so extreme on either end. Like what's happening?
Yeah. Yeah. I mean,
Can we just do like common decency? Like maybe we don't blow children up and maybe women just make up their own minds about their own bodies and maybe the military industrial complex can fuck right off like
yeah.
and we can build some roads. I don't know. That's maybe that makes me a radical liberal.
Yeah. I mean, the politics have become very polarized here in this country and, it's increased a lot since the whole Trump fiasco. It definitely has made our country just it kind of just ripped us like pretty hard down the
Yeah.
um and I think that division has always been there, but it's just become increasingly more obvious and apparent. And I don't know. I don't want to live in a place where I don't have fundamental rights.
Mm-mm.
You know? Like we've fought really hard for those rights, and I don't think any man should be able to tell us or take those away,
No,
ever. So,
no, I
and
agree with that. And
I think the best route for doing that is with Harris as president. That's just where I
yeah,
stand.
well, also like the vice president elect on the Republican side, JD Vance, that dude is
Yeah.
um like I wouldn't want to be in an alley with that guy. He's really creepy.
Mm-hmm.
Women are not your property. Like
Yeah.
the choice to have babies is not yours to make. Like that's crazy.
I'm really hoping that I think in the last election it was really cool to see how much like the younger voters came out. I thought that that
Yeah.
was something that was really like really inspiring, and honestly, historically that's been super unusual.
Yeah. And I
In
feel
America.
like under Biden, it was not going to happen again. I feel like they really pushed the young vote, the black vote and the female vote and they pushed it so that Biden could win and we all came out, we all went and we all voted and then I felt like they didn't do any of those parties justice
Mm-hmm.
and I felt like this year it was like I don't really want to go vote because I don't think that you're going to represent me correctly. I don't think that it matters if I go vote for you because you're not going to do what you say you're going to do.
Yeah.
And I'm really hoping that under Harris, who in my opinion will be the Democratic nominee, I think it would be crazy to go swing it some other way. So
Mm-hmm.
like we had to meet another new person. Anyways, um I think we might get those pockets back.
Yeah. I I agree with you, and I hope that you know, the Republicans who can't find themselves in green with Trump, I hope that they can realize that Harris is by and large a much better option and will give us
Yeah.
some, stability when we really, really need it, most likely,
Yeah.
after all
And
this.
I know that there's a lot of like propaganda that gets put up around like gun rights for Republicans and they rally pretty hard around gun rights. I've got to say like living in a country where that is not an issue because automatic rifles of any kind are not allowed. Like if you want to have one it's regulated and there are shooting ranges that they are stored at and it's like you can still I just think that it's really nice to not have to worry about being shot. Like it's so nice.
Yeah, I do think for me it's that's probably one of the bigger issues, that we face like our country. That is a
Mm.
very, very serious issue. My own son was in more than a handful of lockdowns when he was in preschool at in Denver, here in Denver, Colorado. So he had multiple lockdowns where there was an active shooter somewhere in the neighborhood. um I was pulled in, my husband and I were pulled into the school once because, there was an incident happening right on the street outside of the school and we went to pick him up. So there's just, it's anytime your child's in an active lockdown, like
Mm,
I think your view on guns changes radically, or I hope
yeah.
it does, because, you know, if they weren't an issue, then I wouldn't sit there worrying about if my 5-year-old was going to come home.
Yeah. And you know what else makes me quite angry around the topic of politics is this idea that if you how do I state this nicely? I feel like, for example, the American flag has been sort of monopolized on one side of the fence, and that would be more towards the Republican side. They seem to like just ooze patriotism. You know, they have the shirts that are like American flags and the hats and the blah, 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 blah. It does not make you anti patriotic to want better for our country. Like to love our country enough to be like, I want better for it is the most patriotic motherfucking thing you could do. like,
Yeah. Yeah.
like to be brave enough to be like, it's not working. It's time for some changes.
Yeah, which is absolutely, the narrative that is going
Yeah.
at this
Like
current.
we don't need to live in like our, the 1950s. Like we don't need that. Like we can make our own reality.
We don't want that.
We don't
Horrible.
want that.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't know. It's just, yeah, it's been interesting. It's hard, always in election season, it's difficult to navigate the politics and everything that's
Mhm.
going on. But this season especially, I mean, it's just as crazy as ever. And so, I know personally for me, I'm being very aware and careful about the information I'm looking at, the information I'm taking in. Um,
What sources are you using?
exactly.
that was
Like,
quite that was a question.
I mean, honestly, I read the only news source I look at on a regular basis is actually BBC based news. That way I can just get, general information about the news in the United States, and it doesn't have to be like very politically biased one way or another. It's just
Mm.
kind of like factoids, which sometimes, our headlines can get so crazy that I'm like, is this real? What is happening?
Who wrote this?
So yeah, I read BBC News, and then when I want to get really really fired up, I listen to Pod Save America, which probably doesn't really help me, but
I got to be honest, I don't like those guys.
yeah, you and Matt are the ones that introduced me to them, and then
I know.
not
And then
so or no.
no.
Mm-hmm.
My husband's very politically informed. I feel like he should start his own political podcast, but he won't do it. Anyways, no. The thing about Pod Save America is it's good information, but they're very like, ooh, Biden's the best.
Mm-hmm.
Ooh, like
Yeah, they are. Mm-hmm.
and I don't appreciate that. Like I appreciate honesty and like the honest truth is like Biden should have retired like 20 years ago, you
Yeah,
know.
and I do wish that they had a female voice with them.
Yeah. It's all white
Always.
men.
Yeah, yeah, just like something different, to put a little different spin and perspective on things would be helpful, I think.
Yeah, and it's like a lot of quite
Yeah,
wealthy white men. Like John Favreau and his wife live a very lavish,
yeah.
they're sort of like the Democrat everyone hates to loves to hate.
Mhm.
Like that's them.
But
Anyways,
the thing that I do take away from their episodes is, and they also do Pod Save the World, so that's two
I
different
do like Pod
podcasts.
Save the World so that you
And
can get
those, like, I think those podcasts, the thing that I can take away from it is like when there's a big complicated issue that I'm not really sure I understand or it's confusing to me, like in when I listen to one of their episodes about it, although it's very biased with their own opinions and experiences and things, I feel like they do a good job of explaining
mm,
like what's happening, like if something's happening at the Supreme Court level, they're like, oh, like this is what is happening in the Supreme Court, and this is why this is like this, and this is how this situation is happening. And that to me is like really, really helpful because our government structure is just like a little bit crazy and it can be really hard
yeah,
to
it's
understand.
really confusing. It's very easy to not engage with the
Hmm.
American government. Like it is
Yeah.
very easy to just be upset at the finish line.
Hmm.
And I think that's what we all learned like 2020 with the Black Lives Matter is like there's a lot of nitty-gritty little details that happen at like your local community level that you aren't really involved in, but you could be.
Hmm. Yeah.
And then it becomes this like huge issue. And like voting at a local level is actually where you have the most power.
Mm.
Um, I found that the Westward does a really actually one of the women we grew up with, Corey Anderson was the writer on it for a long time, but she via the Westward, which is a newspaper in Colorado, would publish like the local guide to voting, and it just explained the issues in like a very non-threatening way where you could just sit down, read like some basic information and decide which way you wanted to vote, yay or nay. Very helpful.
Yeah, that's I just think that finding a way where you can get the information you need it
Hmm.
in a season like this, I think is just important. Like you said, like,
Yeah.
we all need to be searching for and figuring out and finding out like what Harris's campaign is all about, what her
Yeah.
platform is, and understanding that. And um, that is important to do for all candidates you're considering voting for. Um, yeah, it's
Yeah. And another trick that I do when I vote, I I vote out every single judge, no matter what.
mm,
I just feel like judges go by like under the radar. No one knows about them. They do some really sketchy, shady shit. And I feel like they should always have to justify why they have a job. So I vote no every single judge.
oh yeah, that's yeah,
That's fun.
that's fair. That's totally fair. One more thing I just wanted to, kind of bring up as we're talking, about the hot mess cake of America, um, that I have found difficult. So we kind of talked about how, there's a huge political divide right now, still. And, it's really hard, I feel like, when you are around extended family, friends, larger gatherings, even at my other job where I'm a bartender, it is very like it's just like nobody wants to say the T word, nobody wants to say the B word. Like we're all dancing around these, very heated issues, and I'm just kind of I don't know, I find myself really struggling with that. And it's like because I am outspoken about what I believe. And so like at a family gathering, we started talking about politics, and another family member like was like, "No, we're not talking politics," and then just like shut down the conversation. And like I just looked at them, and then I just continued saying what I was saying, because it's like nobody is gonna I don't like I love everybody. Like it's all cool, but like and I respect everyone's views, but nobody is gonna sit there and tell me that I cannot say what I believe in a
Yeah.
respectful and kind manner. Like it's so heated that the second like politics come up, everybody's just like, no, stop, don't talk, stop speaking. And that like is such a disservice. That is such a disservice to all the underserved populations and communities and peoples. Like we really, I don't know. I think I just really needed to say that.
Yeah, no, I agree with you. It's very like hush hush and then well because you don't want to get in like a fight. Like it always feels like it's going to end up with like you're a fucking no, you're an idiot. No, you're an idiot.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, definitely. And like that's absolutely not the outcome I'm seeking, but I also like I have strong beliefs. And like the thing is, like the more you silence me, like guess who's not being silent? Donald fucking Trump. So like, he's just standing out there just yelling obscene, crazy things, and
A
like
lot of lies
telling me
happening.
that I can't feel like upset about, not having rights to choose about my own
Yeah.
body. Like,
Yeah.
so I don't know. I just feel like we all need to find a way to talk about it. And I'm gonna keep doing so. So I'm sorry in
I
advance.
always like think about the fact that like women's rights are always up for debate and
Mm-hmm.
while our country faces actually there's quite a few very pressing issues that we should be voting on, it always seems to take center stage because it sort of forces your hand into like a religious conversation. It forces, there's a lot of like layers to abortion rights. And I just feel like the minute that women decide to take up firearms for our rights, that shit's gonna be banned so fast.
But you're not wrong.
I'm not wrong. Like that is how polarizing it feels sometimes in that country, that like you could take up
Mhm.
firearms against that and it would be okay
Yeah. Yeah.
because everyone else has got them, so you might as well.
Right. Right. So I don't know. All this to say, I guess, I don't know. The politics here are just really unhinged and um, you know, hope
I did
everyone's
I
doing
did
okay.
lose a bit of the fear factor. Like I felt like when Biden was going against Trump this time, I felt sort of like
Yeah.
suffocating fear that because he was so delusional and incoherent. And it was like there's no way this guy's gonna win. Like,
Mm-hmm. It did feel
and
like that. I agree with you.
yeah, it was really stressful because it's like 4 more years of this like insanity if Trump wins, where like I don't know, those 4 years that he was president, it felt like every day something totally fucking unhinged was going on.
Yeah. Yeah, it did. It did. It was
And the
a
millennial
hard
generation, we
time.
are so scarred. Like we have experienced so many like once in a lifetime events.
Mm-hmm.
Like, can we just please have a break? For the love of God. Like we are so traumatized that it's not even traumatizing anymore. I'm serious. Like,
No, I'm with you. I'm with you.
can we just have a break for like
Yeah.
5 years?
Yeah. Yeah. I don't know. I don't know if we can. But
Yeah.
um yeah, so, this is just my little, do your research, do your reading, understand what you're voting for and who you're voting for.
And
And
please vote.
yeah, and it's okay to disagree with us. It's totally okay to disagree with Kinsey and I. We welcome that. We welcome conversation. Like, it's all good, baby. Like, but let's just like be respectful about it to each other. That's all I ask.
You fucking idiots. No, I'm kidding. I
Um,
know it's crazy, isn't it? It's like, I don't know.
yeah. I I think like part of me is just like I I'm really, really afraid to feel disappointment if Harris doesn't win. Like, I really don't want to wake up that next morning and feel that disappointment that like, there's nothing like that feeling of like when Biden chose to run again,
To renew his vows to our
to
country.
renew. I felt so devastated that he could not see that someone younger and, in my opinion, a woman would do such a better job. Like,
Yes.
I'm really grateful that everyone is endorsing Harris, and like I am, like as a female and as a like I'm so excited for that. Like, like
Mm.
I desperately, desperately want like our first woman president. Like that is a huge step, but like I just don't want to feel disappointed if it doesn't happen, because that feeling, there's like nothing like that. Like when Trump got elected, it just felt like, oh, we chose this. We chose
Yeah.
this. Like like there was that really big deep feeling of dread of like, no, like as a nation, we told every single female identifying person in this country that Trump was better than a woman.
Yeah, I agree. Like it felt like we were very much less than
Yeah.
and still second class citizens. Like,
Yeah.
yeah, I agree with that. Like it
Yeah.
really felt like,
Yeah.
okay. And then through that administration, we got like the most woman hating woman in the Supreme Court you could ever get. Like
Mm-hmm.
that woman's a fuck. Well, never mind. See, this it's polarizing. It brings out a lot of anger.
Yeah. Yeah. So,
But
anyways, all right. Well, got some unpopular opinions about the Supreme Court things? Injustices. That's a whole nother, that's another day, people.
You go first with your unpopular opinion.
Okay. Uh, this one doesn't apply to Australia, but if you are going out for a meal or drinks and you
Mhm.
cannot afford to tip at least 30% on whatever,
30%,
mm-hmm, 30,
30.
girl, I said it was an unpopular opinion.
Just
If you can't
your
afford
mouth.
to tip 30% on whatever you're buying, like at the end of the ticket, like please don't go out.
Mm.
Straight up. Like as somebody whose other job depends on tips, there is nothing more painful to me than when I am friendly to you, I extend excellent customer service, I serve you beers all night, and then you tip me $2 on like a $97 ticket.
Yeah.
Like like people in service industry still aren't making very much money hourly. We live on tips and everything is expensive for everybody. So so just keep that in mind, please, when you're out and about.
Yeah. Tip people accordingly.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
Yeah. Because it's part of that environment. Like,
yeah, yeah.
I agree with you.
Thanks.
Yeah. Um, mm, my unpopular opinion is I think that everyone should have a paint set.
Mhm.
Even if you're not good at painting, I think you should have one. It's just very nice to like sit down and unwind that way.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah.
It's good to do that creatively. And it works like a different side of your brain too. Just
Yeah. Yeah. It's true.
and maybe it'll help you have clarity when voting this year.
Mm. Also, I think that drying racks for your clothes are a better alternative than dryers, which is very unpopular in the United States. But it's so nice to not listen to the dryer go ba bump ba bump ba bump ba bump ba bump ba bump ba bump, and then it's just like not it uses nature, and that's $0. What are you laughing at?
I just never thought I'd see the day. You loved your dryer here in the States. You loved
I
that
know.
thing. Oh my
I
God. You would like
know.
talk about it like all the time.
I don't talk about my dryer all the time. Now I have a drying rack.
You're kind of like a crazy appliance lady a little bit.
Oh my God, I took apart our dishwasher yesterday.
Yeah. Case in point.
Well,
Like
listen, the latch broke and I thought I can fix this.
every time I would like come visit you in Denver with my infant, you like then he would like have thrown up all over himself and stuff, and we'd have to like wash his stuff. You always made like that face that you're making right there.
That's so gross.
It's
Why
like
don't babies wear like rain attire? Then you just hose them off. Like, why are babies always in something that's like absorbent? Seems dumb. Put them in you know, a sheet like a tarp wear for babies.
oh my God. That's
That'd be
awesome.
so cute. They're little pants, little tarp pants, and they have little rain boots. And then when they puke, you just hose them off.
Gross.
We're on to something here.
Ugh. Okay, well, great. Thanks so much everybody for tuning in, and we hope that you have the election you deserve.
Yeah, don't we? Have the election you deserve. That's terrible. That's really horrid. Also, um, you know, go Team Australia, go Team USA. Like, we're rooting for you guys. Let's do this thing.
Yeah, it's been awesome.
I have to be honest with you. The US is playing the Matildas, which is the women's soccer team here in Australia. and I'm rooting for the Matildas.
That's fine.
It's very anti-patriotic of me, but
Actually, I was watching two of the Australian female swimmers last night, and they are. I remember they did really, really well in Tokyo as well, but they are freaking phenomenal.
um yeah, and their shoulders are freaking ripped, dude.
Like
Like
they're just they're so strong.
like holy
It's
fuck, how do you get those?
yeah,
Yeah,
definitely.
the Olympics have been very inspiring this year. I feel like there's been a lot of body positive. We don't need to put all this in the stop recording, but I feel like there's been a
You
lot of
say bye.
body positive stuff.
Mm,
Like
yeah.
this is what an Olympian looks like. And there's been so many people rallying behind the female athletes that it's like for the first time ever, I feel like women are being supported. It's so good.
Hmm.
This is our time, ladies. Get after it.
Let's go.
Let's fucking go. Taylor Swift is the top of her game. Simone Biles. We got a VP about to become a P.
I hope. That's awesome. All right, sounds good. Well, you heard it here first. Love y'all. Have a great day.
Bye.
Goodbye.